Hi guys, welcome back to the Tommy Starcraft channel. It's your host Tommy with yet another Starcraft Remastered replay cast here from the South Korean ladder 2024. We have spawning here in the lower left in the teal. It is GRYFFIN, but this is of course an AK. Sadly, I don't know who this Protoss South Korean pro is. I will Google of course his AK. You can see of course a very high APM here for him versus his opponent here spawning in the upper left part in the white. It is a flash with his AK. Actually, I believe it's light yellow here as a color for flash. So very interesting Terran versus Protoss we have once again here on a 4 spawning location map. Even 600 APM here now for this Protoss. Could it be Bisu? I don't know. Perhaps Best, perhaps Snow. Maybe you guys know who actually this pro is facing of Flash here. And Flash this time deciding to post his spawning pool, his supply depot here, not next to the command center, actually placing it here perhaps to guard those SCV, or perhaps he's not expecting any rushes from the Protoss. Let's check the build order from the Protoss. Pylon into gateway should be followed up very soon with a gas. So very standard open up here for both players. Flash also deciding now to place his barracks outside of his base. Very likely is going to continue to wall off here to secure his expansion into that location. So yeah, like I told you, none of the player really wants to do any harassment early on with some zealot rushes, with some bunker rushes. I believe now Flash will be sending out his first scout at around the 1 minute and 50-second mark here, and luckily here for him he's moving out straight into the lower left part, where of course he's going to be seeing the timing from the cybernetics core, the gas, the gateway here, and I believe we will be seeing the first Dragoons very soon here for the Protoss. Of course a much needed unit in the early game for any Protoss. Dragoons really strong, especially with their range attack versus the bunkers and so on. So in comes Flash, sees now everything, checks for the cybernetics core. Of course he's going to stay to see when or if the upgrade is going to go out for him, and immediately reacting now with a command center expansion. So straight into command center. I believe he's going to very likely put a bunker here to secure the expansion, or is he is continuing with a supply depot. Very nice wall off here for him. And yeah, let's just see the first Dragoons also getting spawned. There we have gas for Flash, so very late gas here for him. No factory of course yet for him, so pretty much investing very nicely into that expansion point. So playing very nicely, very macro orientated gameplay here by him. Sees the expansion from the Protoss, so both players really now playing very safe, very macro orientated. And let's see if it's going to be once again a mech versus a gateway Protoss, or if you're going to be seeing once again the Protoss go for mass shuttles. We've seen that mass shuttle seems to be the new meta for the Protoss, so it's not those arbiter gameplay. We actually see Protosses go for 4, even 6 shuttles versus their opponents. Is this going to be once again the tactic here from this Protoss? We're about to find out, as he's also preparing here a wall off. And yeah, there we have the bunker for Flash with 1 marine in it. Another one is getting produced. We also see the factory here getting produced by him. Around the 3 minute and 50-second mark, we also see the first Dragoons moving out. The range is being done for the Protoss here, and yeah, let's see how this game is going to continue as the first Dragoon makes his way out here towards Flash's base. So pretty standard stuff, but hold on, what exactly is this? Could this be a starport into the middle of the map? No, it's actually a factory here for Flash. So very interesting placement here for the factory. I believe he's going to launch attacks with vultures from this factory. It could be even some tanks for him. They're likely going to place an add-on here into this one factory. And is this a starport? Perhaps no, it's a hidden engineering bay. Interesting enough here for Flash. Perhaps it's going to also be used for scouting purposes in case there's going to be a shuttle gameplay here by the Protoss. Let's see, is this a robotics facility be indeed for the Protoss? We might see some shuttles, we might also see some observers go out for him. Let's see what his plans are as some Dragoons. Actually, this one Dragoon being able to cancel the gameplay here for Flash. So a very smart move by the Protoss. It's very important to, of course, scout the map, given the fact that the Terrans can place their buildings everywhere onto the map. And yeah, the Protoss being successfully here, cancelling the one factory in the middle of the map. as another armory is going out here for Flash, and he's going into siege tank. So no vulture gameplay here for him. We actually also see the observer here for the Protoss, so also no shuttle gameplay with reavers yet for him. Yeah, both players playing very safe here. Pretty standard Protoss versus Terran gameplay here by both players as we have passed the 5-minute mark, and perhaps a smaller economic advantage here for the Protoss as he's deciding to go for his other expansion here, given the fact that the 2 Dragoons will of course give great intelligence here, great cover towards the exit from the Terran. But yeah, the Terran could of course nicely place a tank here into the high ground, but hold on, actually you might see an attack here, and a very smartly placed barracks here, soaking up the first attacks from the Dragoons. So very smart gameplay here by Flash, also having this engineering bay to see in case there's going to be a shuttle attack very soon. And yeah, the 1 tank could of course, like I told you, be placed here on the high ground to attack those Dragoons. But the plan here for the Protoss is of course clear. He's just letting those Dragoons be right there and expanding all over the map. And his intuition, of course, his plan of course wants to have the economic advantage and then pretty much overrun the Terran with masses of gateway units. Or could it be also some carriers? Carriers would be very interesting to be seen. The first observer is coming out, but Flash very smartly. And the timing is really impeccable here for Flash with this turret, knowing of course when the first observer should arrive into the main. There are no Goliaths. I believe scan is not yet available for him, as he's placing a starport. Now the observer nicely sees everything Flash has here into the main, and I believe another factory is going to be built here for him. So a very defensive gameplay here for the Terran. Vultures are now moving out, but remember there's Dragoon waiting here. His speed has been done for the Vultures. First damage is being taken, and the mines will also now be upgraded here for the Vulture. So with that, the Protoss has of course to leave some units behind. There is a shuttle, and the way the entrance is pretty much shut down here for the Protoss. So very smart gameplay here for him, and at the same time he's also taking this expansion right here. So Flash could scout this, and with that he might be able to cancel or even inflict some small economic damage here. But if the game continues like this, the Protoss will of course have the upper hand. Flash knows this, and he's deciding to send out more and more of those Vultures. But of course the Dragoons are very strong versus the Vultures, very good into defending, and I believe Flash has to react. If the game, like I told you, continues like this, he will be very far behind. He only has 2 bases. Worker wise they're pretty much at the same amount, but the Protoss just keeps on expanding all over the map, and he also has a shuttle available, and he also has the Dragoons, and even this 1 observer very smartly placed here. So yeah, GRYFFIN really playing a great game, and now going into more gateway units here for him. We even have a Reaver Bay, actually a Protoss robotics support bay with speed being done for the shuttle, and there's the Reaver. So with that, the Protoss will of course keep Flash at bay, and yeah, Flash, as you can see on the minimap, not really moving out with any units. Speed will be done for the shuttle. The first upgrades go out here for the Terran, and the reaction from Flash is actually going for another expansion, as well as the first units from the Protoss are slowly but steadily moving here out on the map just to clear some mines. But it's going to be very important to see what this shuttle can do with double Reaver actually here for him. Double Reaver supported with some Dragoons. I believe he could drop the Reavers here, wait for the Dragoons, and then just also drop the Dragoons there. But there's so many tanks here for Flash. And what exactly are the plans here for the Protoss as he's slowly but steadily moving here forward with the Reavers? There is a tank in the back. There are some tanks on the high ground. Yeah, Flash immediately reacting with many more tanks. So what can be the plan here for the Protoss? He could of course bypass everything, but Flash reacting with some turrets, even has a tank onto his main, and some Vultures behind giving cover with some mines for him. Yeah, probes getting transferred. Very important beeline here created by the Protoss, not allowing any move out here. I believe that's his plan. As soon as Flash will be sending out some Vultures, the Reavers will immediately react and just snipe them here with some Scarabs, as more and more is getting scouted here out and more Dragoons are getting produced. Let's have a look at the upgrades very quick. Still 0-0. I believe Flash has 1 weapons upgrade and going into more. So once again Flash strongly relying onto those upgrades, and yeah, in comes the first attack with the Reavers as Flash has to clear his way out very soon. Some vultures still trying to inflict some damage, but they will stand no chance. The Protoss is gaining more and more map control, and as the game continues, he's gaining more and more bases here, and Flash knows this. He has to react, he has to move out to secure his next base. I believe he had the command center here floating indeed, so his next expansion point is very likely going to be this point right here. He even placed some mines down, and yeah, with that I believe he is going to move forward, but could have been a nice flank with the Reavers. However, the tank gameplay here by Flash is really strong, really important, and the mines are also nicely getting placed. So if the Reavers getting dropped here onto those mines, lots and lots of splash damage could be taken. And yeah, the Dragoons are also moving out. Let's see what this shuttle can do. I believe the Protoss is going to buy, of course, as much time as he can to delay this expansion right here. Yeah, the Reavers are in position, but the tank is already shooting, and one Reaver has been taken out. So nice micro here by both players actually, but yeah, the tanks of course supreme into range against the Reaver, and of course much faster moving unit. The shuttle is there to give more movement speed, but with those nicely placed mines here, two Reavers have actually been taken out. So very smart gameplay here by Flash with the tanks, with the mines, securing the positions. The Protoss just keeps on expanding here, having now 71 workers versus the units from Flash, but of course it's really hard to penetrate here forward against so many tanks. Remember, the tanks do have upgrades, 1 to 2 and more are coming, so we can see the reaction by the Protoss Zealots with High Templar Storms and more shuttles. So it's going to be once again, I believe, a mass shuttle gameplay. We're about to find out as more and more mines will be taken out here. Let's have a look at his upgrades. Only one weapons upgrades for him, no armor yet. Another robotics facility base, so we might see indeed more upgrades coming out of the forge, and we also might see more shuttles being produced here by him. I believe the Zealots will once again be sacrificed in the front, and then High Templar Storms will be the real damage dealers with splash damage with those storms versus the Terran. Let's see when exactly or if the Protoss is going to react. It's very close into being maxed out. He's very close to reaching out for 200 supply, and let's have a look if he's going to be able to attack. And there's so many mines on the ground, no observer yet for the Protoss, only one here, and actually he does have observers, but it's going to be very hard to clear those mines. So a very nice defensive gameplay here by Flash, actually pretty much turtling up now, staying strong at 3 bases as the Protoss tries, of course, slowly but steadily to sneak forward to snipe some mines. Flash is going to try to lure him forward, but it would be pretty much a suicide mission against those mines and against those tanks with upgrades. Remember, the tanks do have upgrades, and now the Protoss, of course, reacting immediately with massive amounts of upgrades here as well. We even have speed for the observers being done, so very nice stuff. As we also have a science vessel, I believe, of course, to be used with EMP shockwave versus the forces here for the Protoss. So pretty much impenetrable gameplay here by Flash, as slowly but steadily he's actually moving here forward. Given the fact that the Protoss just keeps on taking base after base, even takes now this base right here, even more gateways are being produced, so it's going to be a mass gateway unit. But hold on, we actually see the first attack being happen here. The Zealots are in the front, soaking up all of those mines. The High Templar Storms are now dealing massive amounts of splash damage towards those tanks. Really nicely executed here by the Protoss, and in the end Flash will hold, but at what cost? So many nice deployed High Templar Storms versus those tanks. Still a great defensive gameplay here by him. Both players still at the same amount. GRYFFIN with a much better economy, as slowly but steadily once again Flash is moving out. His upgrades will finish on time very soon, as the Protoss keeps on taking more and more of damage now. But yeah, once again the Protoss is being maxed out. Notice how he's nicely placing his gateways here, and the Terran just keeps on moving forward. But there we have the triple shuttle gameplay here by him. The Zealots will be dropped exactly onto those tanks, soaking up those mines, and so much splash damage is being taken here by Flash. So once again, the shuttle gameplay seems to be the new meta for the Protoss, and it's working out really well. It's actually 5 shuttles here for him. The Zealots have been suicided, but they did soak up all of those mines into the tanks. So both players taking quite some damage, but now the economic gameplay here from the Protoss is going to kick in very likely. He has so many bases, still taking base on a massive amount out here. So yeah, his economy is looking really strong. being maxed out non-stop and just dropping units after units versus the Terran. So I believe Flash is going to be playing perhaps much lower onto those mines. Maybe he's going to use the mines into another situation, so not close to his tanks, as those mines will actually work here against him. So he needs some anti-air. He's adding the turrets. He's perhaps going to add some Goliaths versus the shuttles. I believe that is going to be only the reasonable answer here for Flash, as he's also taking this expansion right here. So let's see if the Protoss is going to move here forward. Yes, Templars in the back. No shuttles inbound here for him, as perhaps a small mistake here by the Protoss. Needs to of course be very careful, as he's taking base after base here. So where exactly did the shuttles from the Protoss disappear? I believe they're going to pick up other units here onto the map, as Flash is still on a nice beeline tank movement here, and more drones are getting produced here and getting transferred here, as more cannons are also getting produced here. The Flash is trying to react with an empty dropship actually here, perhaps trying to scare the Protoss, or perhaps trying to force him to bring some units forward. Let's have a look at his upgrades. 2 to 3 for him. The Protoss should also have some good upgrades now. 1 armor and 2 attack, as the shuttles are once again moving here forward. Let's see what they have. Still Zealots, I believe, for him. Zealots with High Templar Storms. Pretty much massive amounts of splash damage is going to be taken here, and lots of SCVs will fall once again. So a great move here by the Protoss, crippling the economy here from Flash. Of course, very hard to react given the fact that there were 4 High Templars. Pretty much a suicide mission here for the Protoss, but he has done his job really nicely. Flash dropping to 44 workers. The economy is getting crippled more and more, but remember, he has a new base there. There are some defenses, there are some turrets, so I believe Flash should be able to bounce back here, as we see another attack here into the middle of the map. And yeah, Flash is now actually deciding to move forward versus the opponent. The Vultures are in the front. There are some High Templar Storms, but the tanks can soak up so many of those storms, as he's moving more and more forward here versus the opponent. So now the Protoss has to produce those units really quick. He has so many gateways on the ground, but the tanks are relentlessly moving here forward for Flash. Is it going to be enough here versus so many Dragoons on the ground from his opponent? Tanks are sieging up, some are just moving here forward. A great micro gameplay, as Flash is targeting now the newly established bases here from his opponent. More is getting thrown out here for him. The Vultures are in the front, killing now the cannons in the front as well, as the Protoss has to transfer some of his ropes into another situation here. But we do see some storms getting casted here, and somehow those High Templars are still alive here. Even the Zerg egg has been taken out, and now in comes the attack. But remember, the Protoss has so many gateways there, as well as I believe in the end this will be shut down. And what a great micro here by the Protoss. Still, Flash is sending out reinforcements. He has those Vultures in the front, he has the tank in the back shooting and dealing splash damage, and more mines are getting placed down here. So as soon as some units are moving out, they will take a splash damage immediately out of those mines. And even science vessel is here, but in comes the attack once again with the shuttles, Zealots with observers. Some mines will be taken out here, but yeah, defensive matrix once again being the reaction from the Terran, as we have more storms are getting thrown out here. But somehow some tanks are still being left alive, but it's just so much more splash damage, as the Protoss pretty much obliterating everything he has with massive amounts of storms. And with that, I believe finally the attack has been shut down for now. So Flash is trying to react, trying to block some exits with some mines here onto the ground. What a great gameplay here by the Protoss, showing us actually the strengths of those High Templars with the storms into the late game. And let's not forget that he is once again into mass shuttles. We even have a starport here. Perhaps some arbiters will follow very soon for him, as Flash is now moving out into the next direction, into the next newly established bases here onto the high ground. Not that well defended here for the Protoss, just a couple of Dragoons by him, and there is a main force in the middle of the map, but there are some mines on the ground. So Flash with a very smart gameplay here, adding more mines, as the tanks now have reached another base from his opponent. And yeah, those mines really keep those units at bay. Very smart gameplay here for the Terran indeed, as slowly but steadily I believe he should be able to take out his base very soon. So let's have a look at the reaction here from the Protoss, as he's once again moving out with some Zealots into the shuttles. More High Templars also have been added. He's trying a good flank into the middle of the map, And let's see if he's going to be successful to penetrate here forward as he's taking out more and more of the mines. The tanks have to be brought back to defend pretty much the main entrance here from the Terran base. Yeah, Flash tries to split up the troops from the Protoss, is pretty much successful currently, but yeah, the mines now actually pretty much work against him as the tanks take more and more damage. And once again, a great executed High Templar Storm here from the opponent. This Flash is taking more and more damage. This actually looks really good for the Protoss right here, as more and more units from Flash are being taken out. So quite a chaotic scene, lots and lots of shuttles greatly getting microed here by the Protoss, and they're just pretty much moving now back towards the gateways, pretty much pick up the units and are getting ready to be launched soon forward. So only one tank is being left here for the Terran to take out the base. The shuttles come back home, pick up their units, and I believe they will be sent out really soon into another mission here by the Protoss. So very nice gameplay here by this one Protoss. Some zealots are here on idle for him, perhaps he forgot about them, but yeah, it happens of course, as the base is still pretty much alive, and we even have a Dark Templar now to take out this base. At the same time, Flash moving out here into another direction with his tanks, with his Goliaths on the ground. Science vessel is here, but the Protoss has some High Templars once again on the high ground. Double High Templar Storm versus the opponent. The cannons are also shooting, and Flash is actually taking once again more and more damage and not really microing the units. So very hard gameplay here for Flash versus his opponent. Finally the Vultures do come here forward, take out this base, but it's really hard to take the rest out of the Protoss, as a great macro game here indeed by this one Protoss perhaps is giving him the advantage now finally. What a great gameplay here by GRYFFIN. I don't know who he is, but by the looks of it he's playing just like Bisu, or perhaps it's Snow, I don't know. But yeah, very great macro gameplay by the Protoss here versus the opponent versus Flash. So Flash in some trouble now. Is it going to be enough to hold with his tanks, with his Vultures in the front? As more and more map control is getting gained here by the Protoss with his shuttle gameplay. Yeah, the shuttle drop with the Zealots seems to be the answer versus the mine gameplay from the Terran with his tanks. And once again, those High Templar Storms really the MVP here on to this game, as they're casting now storms from the high ground. The Vultures are of course really fast, but those storms just deal massive amounts of splash damage. However, now finally Flash is being able to move here forward with his Vultures. The cannons are shooting, there's also action happening here into the middle of the map. Zealots are getting dropped once again, and finally Flash of course realizes that it's been enough, and in the end he decides to of course GG out. So knowing of course that the economic advantage was here for the opponent. So what a great gameplay here for the opponent, for the Protoss, pretty much clearing now everything Flash has. Let's have a look at the upgrades very quickly. 3 armor already with 3 attack, and I believe Flash also was pretty much maxed out. So yeah, as the Protoss attacked, of course he did expand all over the map, so that was very important for him, having all of those all of those expansions. Without them, I believe the game would of course be pretty much different. So very hard to execute, to micro your units, and at the back you are expanding. A very well executed gameplay here for the Protoss, and not that many reavers being used by him, actually going into High Templars, showing us the strengths of the High Templars. And let's not forget the shuttle gameplay with the drops with the Zealots onto the mines, which were soaked up into the tanks. Let's have a look at the stats very quickly. Very nice gameplay. I believe purple it was here for Flash. So yeah, in the end GRYFFIN with a pretty much perfectly executed macro game, nicely expanding all over the map, having control of the map, sending out some reavers to abuse the economy from the opponent. Let's not forget that he also decided to go for 1 or I believe even 2 suicide missions with some shuttles and with some High Templar Storms. So of course the High Templars have been sacrificed, but those storms just pretty much deadly against the Terran. Of course the Terran very hard to out micro them, and those SCVs just pretty much imploded. I believe at one point he pretty much killed 25 to 30 SCVs with the High Templar Storms. So yeah, what a great unit you need to have for the Protoss versus a Terran. And let's not forget that it's also very deadly versus the Zerg as well, and might be even used against the Protoss. So yeah, who is GRYFFIN? I'm going to Google him. I have no idea who he is, but by the looks of it, I believe it could be Isu, who knows, maybe you guys know, maybe you let me know into the comment section. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Tommy signing out.